TikTok Tampa Bay. Happy Friday. We got here. Another week in the books. So that feels good. Hope you're ready for the weekend. Just want to come up here and talk a little bit about what I'm seeing and reading. It seems we could go either way in this current economy, and there's no clear signal on which direction to go to. There are sensitivities to pay attention to, and there are also bright spots to keep our eyes on. Even with the latest GDP numbers coming in strong and better than forecasted at 2.8%, there are still data points to keep an eye on other than GDP and what everyone else is focusing on and looking at as they make decisions. Demand is still holding up, even under these higher borrowing costs, but the tensions are now showing as we ease into this new economy and what might be in store in the coming year or two. I'll just go through a list of things that I've been reading and seeing. Inflation seems to be settling in at 3% and trending towards the target rate, possibly going lower towards 2.5%. We'll see. The consumer is definitely tapping out on higher priced goods and luxury items, and they're focusing on discount items and creating a budget. Local markets are starting to see seasonal patterns return in an effort to achieve equilibrium, and interest rate cuts are happening in global markets around the world. And the Fed has an important decision to make here nationally pretty soon. Stocks are definitely getting tumultuous, even with the advent of technology advances in artificial intelligence. There are people questioning that. The labor market is starting to shift slightly with unemployment, so we'll watch that in the coming months. Supply chain issues are easing, and distribution networks are becoming refined for efficiencies. Let's put it that way. They're still determining where to place distribution networks in the supply chain. Construction costs and negotiations are starting to show signs of becoming favorable. So if those prices come down, that'll be very helpful for real estate. The election is a distraction and has taken on a new level of awkwardness. The gap between small business and corporate America continues to widen, especially in how they absorb these expense increases and how easily they can justify them and take them on. Commercial real estate loans are still a main focus, especially in large metro markets and in regards to debt service coverage ratios. So we got to watch that and see how banks react to those federal regulations and those changes in those loans and the markets in general in those metropolitan areas. Now, this still predominantly affects mostly office, but there are some issues in retail and hospitality as a result of the pandemic. Locally in Tampa, we're starting to see trends in increased activity and questions being asked about available space, which during the summer is a good sign because typically what it leads to is activity as kids go back to school and decision makers start planning their site visits for new facilities. So we'll see if that comes into play. And that is a belief that there will be an uptick in property tours in the fall and winter. So it's a positive sign to be watching. And that goes back to the seasonal patterns that we're seeing in certain markets and submarkets. We're definitely seeing that here. Florida as a whole continues to stay strong with population growth and economic growth. It's definitely a result of in-migration of people coming and moving from other states that were affected by the pandemic in the last 4 years, and a quality of life they're seeking that Florida offers in the Sunshine State. Although costs are definitely rising in Florida, there are major bright spots and positive economic patterns that show future development should continue and could continue. It could continue to also be warranted as long as construction and financing costs ease up and come down. Insurance costs as well. But if we can get control of that, Florida is looking very good. So if you need anything on the west coast of Florida, please call me. Fortress Commercial Real Estate. We are here to help, and we understand and know our local market. Have a great weekend.